Yeah, everybody likes the beer, so it's great when you come out and you're like, hey, we have a beer and it's great and everybody likes it. It's cool, but you know, there's a lot of work and a lot of science that goes into it, so it's not all fun and games back here for sure.
We sold our first kegs in April of 2012. Our goal is to be in Arizona to fill the market. We want to be statewide. We want to be Tucson's beer, for sure.
It's okay to say that.
Yeah. We want to be Tucson's beer. I mean, that's traditionally you think of 4 ingredients: malt, hops, water, and yeast. Yeast is the one that's really important. There's an old saying that brewers make wort, yeast makes beer. So keeping your yeast happy and healthy is a really important part of the brewing process. It's also one of the most frustrating.
We put the wort or the sugar water into the fermenter along with the yeast, and as the yeast consume the sugar, they start producing ethanol and CO2. Ethanol's the great thing that gives us everybody that nice little buzz when we have our beer. All those trillions of cells that are in there are busy producing ethanol and CO2, and it gets cranking.
Brewers aren't the ones that make beers, it's yeast, right? We make sugar. And the yeast is what converts it all over. So it's something like that. I probably screwed that up, but. We kind of like to drink everything, make everything. You know, just kind of pushing the edge a little bit. I mean, we're doing kettle sours now. We'll be adding stuff to the traditional barrel sours as well. You know, like the Ghost says, 1,000-year-old beer style. We like making them. You need lots of different yeasts and different cultures to do that. It's the cornerstone. You upset the yeasts, your beer is done. That's why we invested in the lab.
I guess the yeast wrangler is what they call me. So anything yeast related, that's my domain.
Yeast is really expensive when you buy it, so you want to try to reuse it, and you can. You can essentially harvest enough yeast out of one batch to brew 2 batches, so obviously it's a big cost savings. The DNA can mutate really quickly, and what that ends up doing is it can affect the way that the yeast behaves, both from the flavor compounds that it produces and also its fermentation profile.
Yeah, yeast can be kind of temperamental. Got my undergrad at the U of A in biochemistry. You can actually count or figure out how many cells per milliliter you have, and then based on that you can determine how much yeast we need to pitch for each batch.
So I am a microbiologist, been a fan of craft beer. I homebrewed, so this is just kind of like a perfect situation for me.
Being able to, you know, take it from something like a plate, row it up to pitch into a beer, and then just taste the differences between different strains.
You have a sip of a beer and you're like, what is that? And it's just a different yeast strain. It makes an IPA taste way different if you're using a Cal strain versus a Vermont strain, something like that. It's just these tiny, tweaks on a recipe that makes something special.
If you underpitch or overpitch, it can really cause a lot of off flavor, and the beer you can tell it night and day. Getting this right is, and consistently right, is kind of critical. That's one of the cool things about brewing, is that it's really a combination of art and science.
Most of the flavor from your beers can chalk up to just a tiny single cell organism. It's just amazing.
Yeast makes the beer. That's the driving factor. They're pretty cool little creatures. Not bad for a fungus.